So we're here with Maria this morning, and we're really excited because not only is it our first podcast episode, but it is also International Women's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to be able to highlight Maria's story and her business along with some other women in our community and get to know them a little bit better and let everybody else get to know them and their story. So we're going to start off with this game. It's called It's Kind of a Fun Story. I found it recently. It's a really fun game if you're a game person. But it's got some cards in there that really help you get to know a person or people. And I'm going to have Maria pick out a couple cards, maybe 4 cards, and then answer the questions that are on the cards. So if you want me to actually, I can take those cards you chose. And then I'll ask you these questions. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to know you. What is the most memorable piece of advice you've ever received, and who gave it to you?
Okay, so most memorable piece of advice. So back before I even started my business, I was actually trying to interview for certain positions within my role. And I had someone tell me that it was a recruiter. And he told me that when you go to an interview, look at these interviews like date. You're meeting the employer. They're getting to learn about you, but don't feel like you have to take the position because it's work. Okay, I'm just going to take whatever I can get. When you go on a date, you're not going to go and just get the first guy you meet and just automatically marrying them.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So he said, just look at them as dates. And with that advice, I take that piece of advice throughout my entire life. So even working with potential clients, right? I go ahead, I meet with them, look at it as a date. Okay, what is it that you're looking for? How can I help you? How can I best serve you? What are your goals? And if whatever the client is looking for is not matching to what it is that I'm providing as a service, I don't have to be obligated to meet with that client. So that's been a good piece of advice for myself.
That's really cool. No, I love that. And I feel like that is something that even like our community can take with them into like networking events. It's definitely something that like applies across the board. So that's really neat. So the next card says, what are you passionate about right now? And this can be business or personal.
I would say what I'm passionate about right now is definitely just working out consistently. So I'm getting into the gym. I've always been into the gym, but I guess I'm more dedicated to it and I'm trying new things. So for a little bit of time, I was actually trying kickboxing, which is great. And I've actually been going to cycle bar now, which let me tell you, hard. You would think that just because you go ahead and you work out, you run, that it's going to be easy. It's a different ball game for sure. So just trying to explore that, trying to see what's new that I can do within my fitness regimen. So that's definitely something I've been focusing on.
No, that's great. And I'm sure like that too, like taking care of yourself in that aspect, that's something that does translate into your business,
It does.
right?
It does.
Have you seen that like affect like your productivity or your energy in business?
Definitely. It does give me a lot more drive when I get my daily workout in, or like, for example, before I got here, I worked out. So it keeps my head in the game, gives me more drive, gives me more confidence as well. So definitely a lot better with the productivity. Definitely when I'm not working out and I have to work, it's completely different. I feel like the drive's not there as much. You have to force it. So.
No, and I think you don't seem to have any jitters, so maybe it also does
That's another one.
Help you like calm down. And no, that's a great piece of advice too. So the next card says, when did you fail at something that at first seemed super easy?
Tennis.
Tennis.
Tennis. I remember actually growing up because my uncle would play tennis. That I was like, oh, that would be so easy. But they were my family was always very protective of us. So they're like, oh, just watch him play and everything. But then I went ahead, I went to a country club and I played tennis with a friend of mine. And I failed completely at it. I was like, man, it's not as easy as it is because you have this whole hand technique, believe it or not, that I didn't know. I thought it was just simply hitting the ball. No, you have to put it at a certain angle. You have to hit it a certain way. And I failed poorly. I didn't even make one single shot. A lot of the time it was me running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
So have you like done it since and like overcome that? Like what?
I would say I haven't, but I've played pickleball. So
Okay.
to me, I see it kind of similar. It's just the paddle's a different weight, and then there's certain strategies within the game that you need to learn. So that I've been practicing on, and it's much better than the tennis game, that's for sure.
Have those like that, quote, failure at the first tennis, like has that helped you to be successful in pickleball or kind of translate over?
I would say it does translate within the business world as well, because the way that I see it is for me, I've always been the type of person that I like to try something, but the bad part of it is, well, good but bad, is that when I fail at it, I have to keep doing it. So it's the same way within business. Yes,
yeah.
Perseverance. So in that case, like with the pickleball, I kept practicing and practicing. Am I a pro? No, I'm not a pro. But I can definitely hit the ball. I can play the sport. I can play a game with a group of 3 other people. So that's fine. But then when it comes to the business realm, for example, as a business owner, you're doing multiple different things. It's not just, hey, Maria, you're going to do interior design. That's it. No, it's, Maria, you're doing interior design, you're doing production, you're doing the sales, you're doing the marketing. So you're doing everything. So with that being said, it's good to constantly be persevering, keep pushing, and keep moving forward with everything, even if you're not good at it, because eventually you'll get there.
No, that's beautiful. And it's cool to be able that like you were able to take that perspective away from that experience. So we have one more card left. And it says, what is your favorite thing to do with your friends? That's a good note to end on for this section.
Yes, it is. So it's going to sound a little bit boring, but it's okay. So the one thing I love to do with my friends is go get coffee and walk around Target.
Oh, I love that.
It's great because Target always has new deals going on. They always have nice stuff. Even, believe it or not, I get creative ideas while I'm there because you see all the little cute things, new products. So just doing that, and then even just going to the beach with them, keeping it simple. Usually they'll go do their thing. I'll go for a run, come back, tan, relax, and read a book.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to make that time, I think, especially like with friends. I think I'm sure you can relate to this when you start your business and you are, doing all these different things. Like you mentioned, you're multitasking, you're going to the gym, you're, taking care of your wellness and all those things. Sometimes you forget that like having those connections outside of the business space as much as, like, especially with this community, I love having, friendships that are in the business community because I think that's important too.
It is.
It definitely plays a part, but so do your friends that are outside. And it basically, like, it gets you to fully stop the clock, put that, on the shelf for now and, like, kind of separate and compartmentalize back into, like, a different space. I feel like it helps you relax.
And what's good, too, is that sometimes, like, I have a friend of mine that she's doing her own thing right now, her own little business, too. I keep telling her to incorporate it, but within due time, she'll get there. But there's times where me and her go ahead and we work together because I do find it beneficial that when you're working and like for my remote days, when you're working with someone else, your creative juices start flowing rather than you consistently thinking to yourself or talking to yourself. And because they get to see ideas that you didn't get to see and you can help each other out. So I guess I would add that on there too.
Yeah, it's like a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
That's great. So we've gotten to know a little bit about you and your personal life and also how it relates to your business. But I'm sure the people who don't know you are wondering, what is it that you do for business?
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about, what what you do, and kind of how you got to that business idea.
Mhm.
And I think we've talked about this before in the past, but we'll come back to this now in this episode is like, how did you come up with the name? So let's just start with, how did you think about this business and how did you get into it?
Okay, perfect. So to start off, I'm the founder of She's On Interiors. At She's On Interiors, we focus on optimizing people's property value through interior design and through home staging. And we work a lot within not just residential, we also do commercial work. from the start of the business. It's actually what it is today. It's completely different from where it started, right? So you had mentioned the name of the business. Took forever for me to come up with because at the time, I didn't know exactly what my niche was yet. I knew that I wanted to design. I was just so desperate to just get any job. I was like, I'll do, commercial, I'll do retail, I'll do residential. So I was trying to come up with a name where it can focus on all those branches, but also entail that it's an interior design business. So I kept thinking about it, thinking, okay, elegant interiors, Maria Medina designs. I was thinking of a bunch of different names, and then all of a sudden, I'm brushing my teeth in the bathroom, thinking of names, and then it just pops up in my head. She's All Interiors. I was like, that's perfect because it talks about me as an interior designer, and it varies on the types of work that I do. But now we've drawn it down a little bit more. So now it's interior design, commercial, residential base, but then we also do home staging. So the name still applies. So I'm very, very content with the name.
And how did you come to find this business as a concept? Like, what made you decide to do interior design as your own thing?
So deciding to do it as my own thing, that was actually something that I had since I was younger. I remember in high school when, you have to take the SATs and everything, I started thinking to myself, okay, what is it that you want to do? Originally, believe it or not, I wanted to be an artist because I took a bunch of art courses. I even went to the advanced art class in high school. But then I was just thinking to myself, I don't think that's something I want to necessarily do as a career, more like something that I can do on my personal time. But I would like to do something that incorporates that. So I had to sit to myself, reflect, and I thought, okay, what do I like? Okay. I do like design. I do like architecture. I do like art. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to do interior design. But with that note, as soon as I figured out the career, I was like, okay, I'm doing my own business. It wasn't even any question. That was just the first thing that I thought of because being surrounded by entrepreneurs in my family. So my grandfather, he ran a HVAC business and he retired at the age of 90 in the business because he loved what he did. And my father is an entrepreneur as well. He also works with an HVAC. So being surrounded within that, I just thought to myself, that's something I want to do. I want to keep building that legacy that's within my family. But then eventually I went to school and then I decided, you know what? I want to get the experience first. I want to learn and then eventually jump out on my own. So within due time, I did find myself in a situation where I was actually in a relationship at that time where my partner was in Jacksonville. I was here and I would have to consistently go back and forth. Then I was working at the same time making that happen, 100-hour weeks. It was incredible. I still think to myself, I don't know how I did the things that I did, but I did. And it got to a point where I had realized that wasn't something that I could keep on doing. So with that, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to leave this business. I'm going to spend more time over there in Jacksonville and I'm going to make this happen because I know I want to do it, but I have to do it now. I can't just keep saying, I want to do it, but I can't do it. And then at the time, my financial situation was okay. I did save enough in the bank. I had a client already. So that was one thing that I had in mind. I said, I need to at least have one client before I even jump off. I had that one client. So I decided to do it. And I definitely don't regret it.
That's really cool. I think it's just always interesting to see, like you were saying that you wanted to be an artist, but you ended up. But I think that kind of
they tie hand in hand.
They do.
They do.
So it's really neat to see what you started out doing. Like for me, I wanted to go into child psychology, but it ended up in marketing, and and it's always cool to see where you end up.
What's good too is that, believe it or not, in design, you're still doing art because you're constantly sketching, drawing, coming up with concepts. So that's why I was so sold on the idea.
It integrates, yeah, very well. For you in business, obviously, it's a journey as a business owner. You have, it's like a roller coaster ride. You rise and you fall. What's one really big obstacle that you faced in your business journey that you were able to overcome? And what advice from that situation would you take from it to give to other business owners?
well, if you don't mind, I'm going to say two things
Sure.
because I think in a way they kind of go hand in hand. Definitely working on mindset and community, because at the start, when I started my business, I was constantly trying to do things on my own. Didn't want to ask questions because I'm here thinking to myself, oh, everyone's got it, so I can get it. I can do it all on my own. I can make this happen. I've had to fail so many times because of my stubbornness, not wanting to ask questions, not wanting to get a mentor, not wanting to find the right guidance to make the business work. So definitely mindset, mentor. And the one thing that I struggled with, which I think I do, well, not I think, actually it's been improving a lot much more, is that the original problem that I used to always have was the fact that I had to do everything. So I had mentioned this earlier. I would constantly be working on the sales, working on the marketing, working on the business development and working on the production. But I've been getting a better grip on it because I actually had someone provide me guidance and advice that they told me, hey, I know you want to do this on your own, but once you get to a certain point, you need to delegate the work. So am I still putting my foot in these territories? Yes. But now what I've been doing is that on the marketing side, I hired someone to actually assist me on the marketing, especially when it comes to LinkedIn. So I'm everywhere on there.
Oh, it's so big.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
It's huge. Just getting your name out there through that. And then also not being afraid to provide mentorship, which is something that I do offer within my business, and internships. So actually, I'm working with someone now she's in California, that she wants to learn about the business of interior design because she eventually wants to go off on her own. So my goal with the business is to teach people how to do it. It's not necessarily to be like, oh, it's mine, I'm going to take it away from you. I don't know my secrets. Like, I'm actually the opposite because in my life, I've always had to learn everything on my own because I never had that sense of guidance besides my mentors. But just constantly doing that. So now she's even assisting me on like the production work. She's even going out and doing some networking events over there. So now we're going to be in California.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
yeah, so just delegating the work. I know it sounds scary. You can do it for free. If the person like me, I was constantly doing internships for free because I was just so dedicated into my business. If you're open to it and your goal is to put your foot in the business, don't be afraid of it. And then also don't be afraid of putting money into others,
Yeah.
especially when it's a skill that you're not advanced in.
No, definitely. And I think that those are really great lessons to, to communicate to other business owners, because whether you've started, your first business or you've been doing it for, 10, 20 years, I mean, even for myself, like there are new challenges every single day that I've seen people, some people have overcome at, the first, year in business, and I'm, getting that obstacle now. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. You always have these different things pop up. And I think that's what's so cool about being able to hear your story and other business owners' stories is like, there's always something you can relate to. And if you haven't faced that challenge already, that's something that you could potentially face in the future.
Mhm.
So I love that you have that advice that you're able to give to other business owners. So today, as you know, is International Women's Day. If you didn't know by the cool balloons in the background. In honor of International Women's Day, who is a woman that you draw inspiration from, that you look up to? Who would be that person that you could speak to?
For me, it would be Jacqueline Elliott. I did meet her. It was very short because she had to leave, but I did meet her. And the reason why I do look up to her is because not only is she a woman in business, she's successful at what it is that she does, but she even includes her partner. It's both and her partner run the business. So they do like sales training, sales courses, which, by the way, as an interior designer, very important to learn sales. So she practices that. She stresses on the importance of family. And she's very, very driven. And one thing that I can say that we both resemble is that she comes from a Hispanic background, as I do, and how you come from nothing, how you can go ahead and you can build yourself up. So I find that very inspirational. She's very driven. She has a kind heart, but she pushes you if you need to. So
No, that's fantastic. I love that. And thank you so much for taking this time to share your inspirations, your challenges, your story. I have loved all the conversations that we've had.
yeah,
We've done this in the past, and now we get to, have you as our first guest. I think is just, it's so big for me. So I appreciate your time.
of course.
And
And thank you for
I
having
wish
me.
you all the best in your business. And
Thank you.
even like, it's cool to see like the last time we had an interview, it was, I don't know, a year ago,
Yeah,
probably. And already, like, you're telling me things that have happened since then. Like, you've already grown so much and added these different components to your business. So
I
it's just
agree.
really cool to see, where you are now.
And
And
even with you too, with where Rose and Hustle is now, the amount of things that you're doing, and this was a year ago,
yeah.
right?
So let me tell you guys a fun story. Like, our story is fun. So, like, I'm trying to think you followed me on Instagram.
Yes. So I had saw Rose and Hustle.
Yeah.
I had actually saw you guys on Eventbrite.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, I want to attend an event, but constantly there was always something. But then what had happened is that I followed you on Instagram and you had a post, I think it was a post out that you were saying, oh, we're giving you the opportunity to doing a little bit of a shoot with Electric Teal for business owners, reach out if interested. And I reached out.
Yeah.
We scheduled it. And then what just ended up happening, I think like we had to reschedule like 3 times, mostly on my end, to be very honest with you. And then we met each other at the Del Mar.
Yeah. So yes, and for context for people, Electric Teal is my creative agency. So I was trying to do some things, it's basically do this, but before I actually was gonna do a little, cleaner on a DSLR. I was just using my phone and trying to do quick stories with different business owners. But I was just trying to give them a way to tell their story, but then I was also going to do some photos with them, take some, portraits while we were out there and give them something in return. So we decided to meet at the Del Mar, which I don't know if I need to redact that if I post this, but
We might have to go.
So we decided to meet at this hotel in Fort Lauderdale, which has a coffee shop. And, I've recently found that, the coffee shop's downstairs. You can go upstairs to the lobby floor to the terrace. And I feel like as long as you've bought something,
Yeah, we bought coffee and
giving them
everything.
money. Maybe I didn't buy a room, but like, so they have this pretty terrace. And I said, like, why don't we go up here and see if there's a nice spot to film? And it was nice and like secluded, and it was perfect for what we needed it for. And then I'm like, yeah, so let's do the portraits up here. And so we did. We walked around different parts of the roof and we got some cool portraits. And at the end of the shoot, I didn't realize that the last pictures we were taking were right behind this window wall of the lobby. So everybody in the lobby could see us taking pictures out there on the terrace. So some lady comes out to us and is like, are you guys guests? And I was like, I bought coffee downstairs. And she goes, you can't be taking pictures out here. And so we were like, oh, okay. And, we kind of packed it up, but we were like, we already got all
Yeah, we got everything we needed.
So the pictures I think came out really well, and we were able to get them done like
No, they came out great.
in the time that was needed. But it was just a fun, like, I was like, I'm so sorry that I got you in trouble. But it was fun. It was a good little, rebel memory,
Yeah.
that I dragged her into this
Oh, it's okay.
this illegal
Honestly, I loved the area because you even gave me you said, oh, would you want to do it here? And you had a variety of
because on my
locations.
Calendly I have choices for
So
people.
I liked it there because I've been there. I visited the Rose Cafe and everything. I was like, okay, I think it's resembles my aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was okay with it. And you know what? I'm so used to those types of things happening. I don't question it. So it's okay.
I get so nervous. Like I can be doing nothing wrong and have a guilty face. I will get caught doing anything like remotely like bad.
It's you know what I've learned? And actually this is from other business owners that they've told me this. It's that the more that you put yourself in those types of situations, you start learning to be calm through it all the time. you know? So like, for example, I had a friend that he told me a story that he, he went to one of the F1 races, and what he just ended up doing was just he acted casual. He went in the front of the line, and he was like in the VIP section or something like that. He went right in the front of the line. He acted like he was okay, and no one commented. Not saying to do that, but when you
this
find yourself in
relates
those,
to
yes,
fake it till you make it.
it's the fake it to the make till you make it
Pretend you're supposed to be there until you're actually invited to the Formula One VIP
event.
section.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, you know, it's how you present yourself. Because when you start thinking to yourself consistently, like even public speaking, right? Like even here, like I feel like, for example, the first time that we spoke, I was like super nervous. Now I was like a little bit nervous, but I feel like I've gotten to a place now that I always put myself in uncomfortable situations that I know how to not show it, even though I feel it. So it's constantly putting yourself in those types of environments where you have to constantly just pretend you're someone. Well, I don't want to say pretending you're someone you're not, but just pretending that you don't feel a certain type of way about something.
And honestly, like that just speaks to the bigger topic of imposter syndrome, which
Yes.
is obviously something that, you know, every business owner of every, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, there's always going to be those moments of just like, you know, imposter syndrome. I feel like the first time I ever felt imposter syndrome was like, I made a business card with my, you know, with like Electric Teal. I put a business card and I like put the business name on there, and I always had a hard time saying it. Electric Teal. It just felt so awkward when I told people like I was making it up and trying to scam them. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was fake. And then when I saw it on an actual business card and I was able to go to a networking event and pass out this business card, it was just like that simple little thing, that branded material tool with this name that meant a lot to me that I came up with. Like, my business just became like that much more real in my head. It was like 90%.
Yes.
Like it kind of clicked in. And it's just like all those different moments. But even, you know, I feel like your brain's constantly telling you, like, you know, you're not there yet. You're not in the VIP yet.
And you have to ignore it.
Yeah.
You have to ignore it.
You
So
do,
it's
you
like
have
those little simple things. Like, for example, like when I wake up early in the morning, I tend to always wake up at 4:20 because the gym opens at 5 in the morning. So when it took a while for me to get to that point. But what I ended up doing was I would always have to talk to myself, okay, if you don't wake up at this time, you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up working and you're never going to work out. Because I would always wait until the nighttime. And my situation was that this was while I was working. Every time I went to work, I was always there until 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 10 p.m. So I would have to miss the gym because at that time the gym would be closed. So I was like, okay, if you don't do it now, if you don't get up right now, you're not going to do it. And then you're going to feel lazy when you get to work. You're not going to feel energized. You're going to feel like very sluggish. So just do it now. So it's the way that you talk to yourself. And when you find yourself talking negative, which happens all the time, even to this day, like, oh, I want to sleep an extra 5 minutes. I deserve it. And it's okay if you do. I'm not saying not to, but it's like, oh, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. No, do it now. Just do it now.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like beat yourself before you start saying the negative
Yeah.
thoughts to yourself.
So that's why it's fun to like check in, and we're definitely going to bring you back around once we've had this podcast going, and you know, we get further into it. I'd love to see where you're at and check back in.
Thank you.